Every 5 years, the federal government formulates the Dietary Guidelines for Americans, a document that helps inform federal nutrition policies and programs like school lunches. Here to talk more about this is Dr. Shalene McNeill, Executive Director of Nutrition Science at NCBA. Dr. McNeill, we've heard a lot of discussion about these 2025 guidelines. Why are they even important to the beef industry?
They're really important because nutrition is still a very, very hot topic with consumers, and the dietary guidelines, whether consumers realize they follow them or not, very much influence, as you said, what goes on in school lunch, how our military is fed. They form the federal policy on nutrition, but a lot of health professionals really go to the dietary guidelines for thinking about the advice that they give their patients and clients. So they do have a large impact. Food companies use them to think about product development. So ultimately the consumer is touched by the dietary guidelines, whether they realize it or not. So they're critically important.
So some of the initial things I've read have suggested they wanted to replace beef with peas and lentils. Can you tell us where we are in the process and how NCBA will be involved?
The process is pretty lengthy, and the stage that we're in now is the Scientific Advisory Committee. The scientists who inform what those guidelines will be have completed their work. And they made a lot of recommendations, but one of the most significant and concerning recommendations that they've made is to begin swapping beef and meats with beans, peas, and lentils. And it really doesn't make sense if you think about it, because we're already seeing rising rates of iron deficiency in the United States and zinc deficiency. We know you get those from beef, you don't get those from beans. And so I think we're headed in the wrong direction, and it's really important for us to be weighing in on this, and that's some of the work that we're doing through NCBA and the Beef Checkoff.
And it requires more than just a recommendation from a professional like you. It does require research, right? How important is research in fighting these battles?
The scientific evidence is the only means that we really have to get started in this conversation. That's what these advisory committees are doing. They're looking at the evidence. And unfortunately, a lot of times they look at the weaker forms of evidence that blames beef for unhealthy diets, as opposed to looking at this high quality, strong evidence that we have on beef. So I think that's one of the actions that we're taking, is really pointing the future administration to the evidence that the committee did not really pull up and look at, which is high quality, rigorous clinical controlled trials where we documented you can eat beef daily as part of a balanced diet and see great health benefits. We've got that science. We need the administration to take a look at that science before they finalize these guidelines.
So frustrating, because I'd like to think that science is so objective, and maybe it's not sometimes.
Sometimes you can look at it and see different things, but I do think that if you really look at the data and look at the highest quality data, you will consistently see that beef as part of a balanced diet brings great benefits to the human diet.
So tell us about some of that research that's been done over the last year and what you've learned.
Well, one of the things that's actually very relevant because of the dietary guidelines is we're learning that proteins are not all created equal. So the protein in beans is not going to function the same in your body as the protein in beef. In fact, we just completed a study with the University of Arkansas Medical Sciences, and they compared a 4-ounce soy patty to a 4-ounce beef patty. And what they learned is that you would have to eat double the soy to get the same muscle stimulating benefits as you would from beef. And most people don't have that room in calories, and they want to eat beef, and they're going to get great health benefits, especially for muscle. So I think that's just one of the examples we're proving that proteins aren't created equal, and beef is a superior quality protein for the human diet.
That's outstanding news. Thank you so much for your leadership in this area.
Absolutely. Well, thanks for having me.
Now, if you've wondered or been asked about beef as a healthy food choice, a good resource to check out is the Beef It's What's for Dinner website. There you're going to find all sorts of nutritional information along with healthy and nutritious beef recipes.